The wind carried a whisper of unease as our destroyer cut through the waters of the Solomon Sea, a place haunted by the ghosts of battles past. It was the year 1963, and though the world seemed to be moving forward, the echoes of World War I lingered in the shadows. I, Chief O'Hara, found myself aboard this naval vessel, a boatswain's mate haunted by memories I couldn't escape. The routine was supposed to be simple, yet there was nothing ordinary about the strange events that began to unfold. It started on a seemingly ordinary day, the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of crimson and gold. I was on deck when the first sound echoed through the hull, a knocking, rhythmic and insistent, coming from somewhere deep below the sea. It was an eerie sensation, as if the ocean itself was trying to communicate with us. The crew paused, glancing at one another with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. What could be causing such a sound in these waters, so many years after the war had ended? The captain called us to attention, his voice steady yet tinged with the same curiosity that gripped us all. He ordered an investigation, keen to uncover the source of the disturbance. We lowered equipment into the depths, sonar and cameras, hoping to shed light on this maritime mystery. As the gear descended into the murky abyss, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of discovering something monumental, something that tied directly to my past. Hours passed, the tension aboard the ship palpable. The equipment sent back images that gradually resolved into the ghostly silhouette of a sunken submarine, resting on the ocean floor. The sight of it sent a shiver down my spine. Memories of a day long ago rushed back to me. A day when I made a mistake that had changed the course of my life. It was a mistake I had carried in silence, buried deep in the recesses of my mind. And now, it seemed, the past was reaching out to confront me. As the crew gathered to analyze the images, a mix of fascination and dread filled the air. The submarine was from the era of World War I, its hull battered but eerily intact. How long had it been lying there, forgotten by time? And why was it now calling out to us with its relentless knocking? I felt the weight of my own guilt pressing down on me, a reminder of my role in its fate. The captain's voice broke through my reverie, his command firm. We needed more information. A diver would be sent down to explore the wreckage firsthand. The diver suited up, preparing for the descent into the depths. As he entered the water, the crew watched in silence, the only sound the soft lapping of waves against the hull. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat a reminder of the mistake I had made so many years ago. The diver's voice crackled over the radio as he described the eerie stillness inside the submarine, the faint echoes of history that lingered within its metal confines. Then the diver reported something unexpected, technical difficulties that seemed to defy explanation. His equipment flickered, and he spoke of hearing voices, whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the sunken vessel. It was as if the submarine was alive, its story waiting to be told. Despite the challenges, the diver managed to capture footage of the submarine's interior, though it offered no clear answers. As the diver resurfaced, the knocking ceased, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake. We gathered around to review the footage, hoping for some clue to the mystery. The images revealed a hauntingly ordinary scene, empty corridors and silent rooms. Yet the presence of that sound lingered in our minds, a puzzle that defied logic. We were left with more questions than answers, and the feeling that something beyond our understanding was at play. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake the sense that the submarine was reaching out to me personally, its knocking a message meant for my ears alone. The memories of that wartime mistake resurfaced with vivid clarity, each recollection a reminder of the lives lost because of my actions. The sea held its secrets close, but I feared that this one would demand a reckoning. I resolved to uncover the truth, no matter the cost, even as the haunting echoes of the past threatened to pull me under. I stood on the deck of the destroyer, watching as the sun rose over the horizon. The light cast long shadows across the sea, painting the water in shades of orange and gold. Despite the beauty of the scene, My mind was elsewhere, haunted by memories of the past. The discovery of the sunken submarine had stirred something within me, a guilt I had tried to bury for over 2 decades. I could not escape the feeling that the knocking sound was meant for me, a call from the depths to confront my wartime mistake. As the day wore on, the atmosphere aboard the ship grew tense. The crew whispered among themselves, sharing stories of ghostly encounters and eerie happenings. I listened intently, feeling a strange kinship with their tales of supernatural experiences. One story stood out to me. A sailor named Frosty Joe recounted an encounter he had while on watch in the engine room of a submarine. He spoke of a ghostly figure that appeared before him, its eyes filled with an unearthly glow. It was a chilling account, and it resonated with my own fears and memories. Frosty Joe's story was just one of many. Sailors from different submarines shared similar experiences, tales of shadows that moved on their own and voices that whispered from the darkness. On the U.S. West Virginia, an anonymous sailor spoke of shadowy figures that seemed to haunt the corridors, always just out of sight. These stories painted a picture of life at sea as one filled with uncertainty and fear, where the line between reality and the supernatural was often blurred. As I listened to these accounts, I couldn't help but draw parallels to my own experiences. The guilt I carried felt like a ghost, haunting my every step and whispering in my ear. I remembered the day during the war when my mistake had revealed the position of the submarine. It had been a moment of chaos, a misstep in the heat of battle that had cost lives. The memory of it was like a specter, following me wherever I went, a constant reminder of my failure. I found myself wondering if the knocking sound was connected to these ghostly encounters. Could it be that the spirits of those lost in the submarine were trying to communicate with us? The thought was both terrifying and oddly comforting. Perhaps in some way, they were reaching out for closure, just as I sought redemption for my actions. It was a chilling notion, but one that I could not dismiss. In the midst of this turmoil, I was struck by the realization that I was not alone in my struggle. The stories of the sailors reflected a shared experience of fear and isolation, a reminder that the sea held its secrets closely. The ghosts of the past were not just mine to bear. They were woven into the very fabric of our lives at sea. Each encounter, each unexplained phenomenon, was a thread in a tapestry of haunting experiences that spanned decades. I began to see my own guilt as part of a larger narrative, a story that connected me to the sailors who had come before me and those who would follow. The knocking sound, the ghostly encounters, and the tales of the supernatural were all pieces of a puzzle that demanded to be solved. I felt a renewed determination to uncover the truth, to confront the ghosts of the past, and find peace in the process. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that these stories were not just about the supernatural. They were about the human condition. The fear, guilt, and isolation that plagued us were reflections of our own inner struggles. The knocking sound was a manifestation of the unresolved emotions that lay beneath the surface, waiting to be acknowledged and understood. As the day drew to a close, I stood on the deck once more, watching as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sea was calm, its surface reflecting the last rays of light. I knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but I was resolved to face it. The ghosts of the past would no longer haunt me in silence. I would confront them, and in doing so, perhaps find the redemption I so desperately sought. Life aboard a destroyer was a unique mix of routine and unpredictability. The days blended into one another, each marked by the same relentless duties and responsibilities. We rose before dawn, carried out our tasks with military precision, and navigated the seas with an unyielding focus. Yet, beneath the surface of our disciplined lives, a creeping sense of unease had settled in. The mysterious knocking sound from the sunken submarine lingered in our minds, an unanswered question that haunted the corridors of our ship. The close quarters of the destroyer amplified every sound, every creak and groan of the vessel echoing through the metal walls. We were a small community afloat on an endless expanse of water, isolated from the rest of the world. The sense of isolation was palpable, and it affected each of us in different ways. For some, it was a test of endurance, a challenge to be faced with stoic determination. For others, it was a burden that weighed heavily on their minds, manifesting as anxiety and paranoia. I had always considered myself resilient, accustomed to the demands of life at sea. Yet the presence of the knocking sound had unsettled me in ways I couldn't quite articulate. It was as if the very fabric of our existence had been altered, leaving us vulnerable to forces beyond our understanding. The stories of ghostly encounters shared by my fellow sailors added to the atmosphere of fear, each tale a reminder of the strange and unexplained events that seemed to follow us wherever we went. As the days passed, the tension aboard the destroyer grew. Conversations among the crew turned to speculation and rumor, each sailor contributing their own theories about the source of the knocking sound. Some believed it was a natural phenomenon, a quirk of the ocean that defied explanation. Others were convinced it was something more sinister, a message from the spirits of the lost submarine reaching out to us from beyond the grave. I found myself torn between these interpretations, unsure of what to believe. The confined spaces of the destroyer seemed to amplify the sailors' fears, their anxieties feeding off one another in an endless cycle. The engine room, with its labyrinth of pipes and machinery, became a focal point for these fears. It was a place of shadows and echoes, where the imagination could easily run wild. Sailors spoke of strange occurrences, a sudden drop in temperature, flickering lights, and the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. It was as if the ship itself had become a conduit for the supernatural. In the midst of this turmoil, I struggled to maintain a sense of normalcy. I threw myself into my duties, hoping that the routine would provide a distraction from the haunting memories that continued to plague me. Yet, no matter how hard I worked, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was drawing me back to the sunken submarine. It was as if a thread connected me to that place, pulling me inexorably toward it, demanding that I confront the ghosts of my past. I began to notice changes in my fellow sailors as well. Their faces grew drawn and pale, their eyes shadowed with exhaustion. The strain of living in such a charged environment was taking its toll, and I worried about the impact it was having on their mental health. It was a reminder of the psychological challenges that came with life at sea, the pressures of isolation, and the ever-present specter of the unknown. One night, as I stood on the deck, I overheard a conversation between two sailors. They were discussing the experiences of a senior chief who had encountered a ghost in Shaft Alley during a tour in Pearl Harbor. His story had become part of the lore of the sea, a chilling reminder of the unexplained events that seemed to follow sailors throughout their careers. The conversation struck a chord with me, reinforcing the idea that the ghosts of the past were not confined to one place or time. They were a part of our history, woven into the fabric of our lives. As I listened to their words, I felt a renewed determination to uncover the truth. The knocking sound and the ghostly encounters were not just random occurrences. They were a manifestation of something deeper, a reflection of the unresolved emotions that lay beneath the surface. I realized that I could no longer ignore the call of the past. I had to confront the ghosts that haunted me, to face the mistakes I had made and seek redemption in whatever form it might take. With this newfound resolve, I turned my gaze toward the horizon, where the first light of dawn was beginning to break. The sea stretched out before me, vast and unknowable, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. Yet, for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of purpose. I would confront the mysteries of the deep, unravel the threads of the past, and find peace in the process. The journey would not be easy, but I was ready to face it head-on, determined to uncover the truth and find my place in the world once more. The sea was quiet, the only sound the rhythmic slapping of waves against the hull. I stood on the deck, lost in thought, the events of the past few weeks playing out in my mind. The haunting tales shared by my fellow sailors had left an indelible mark on me, their stories of ghostly encounters echoing the memories I had tried so hard to forget. I realized I needed to dig deeper into these experiences, to connect the threads of the past and present, and find the truth that lay beneath the surface. With newfound determination, I began reaching out to other veterans, seeking their stories of supernatural encounters at sea. Many were reluctant to talk, fearing ridicule or disbelief, but I persisted, driven by the need to understand the nature of the ghosts that seemed to haunt us. As I gathered these accounts, a pattern began to emerge, a tapestry of haunting experiences that spanned decades and connected sailors across time and space. One story, in particular, stood out to me. Daniel Walker, a sailor on the U.S. Florida, shared his chilling encounter with a ghostly presence aboard the submarine. He described the sensation of being watched, a cold, eerie feeling that seemed to follow him wherever he went. His tale was hauntingly familiar, echoing my own experiences and those of others who had served before him. It was as if the ghosts of the past were reaching out to us, demanding recognition and understanding. As I listened to Daniel's story, I felt a strange sense of kinship with him, a shared understanding of the psychological impact of these encounters. The fear and unease he described were all too familiar, a reflection of the struggles we faced as sailors in the vast, isolating expanse of the sea. I began to see our experiences as part of a larger narrative, a story that connected us to the sailors who had come before and those who would follow in our footsteps. Determined to find answers, I continued my research, poring over records and logs from past naval missions. I sought out every mention of ghostly encounters, every hint of the supernatural that might shed light on the mysteries we faced. The more I learned, the more I became convinced that these experiences were not mere figments of imagination. They were echoes of the past, a reminder of the unresolved emotions and traumas that lay beneath the surface. My obsession with understanding the ghostly encounters deepened, consuming my thoughts and driving me to the brink of madness. I spent long nights reviewing documents, piecing together a picture of a world where the boundaries between the living and the dead were blurred. It was a world where the past was never truly buried, where the spirits of those who had gone before still lingered, haunting the corridors of our ships and the recesses of our minds. As I delved deeper into my research, I came across the story of a worker known as Sleep is Overrated, who had experienced unexplained shimmer and figures while working at the U.S. Paneto Museum. His account added to the growing body of evidence that something supernatural was at play, a force that transcended time and place, connecting sailors across generations. It was a chilling reminder that the ghosts of the past were always with us, a part of our history that could not be ignored. The stories I collected painted a picture of a world haunted by the unresolved traumas of war, a place where the past and present were inextricably linked. They spoke of guilt and redemption, of the struggles faced by those who served and the burden of carrying the memories of the past. These tales were a testament to the enduring power of history, a reminder that the ghosts of our past were not just figments of imagination, but reflections of the human condition. As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, I realized that the knocking sound and the ghostly encounters were more than just mysteries to be solved. They were a call to action, a reminder that we must confront the ghosts of our past and seek redemption for our actions. It was a journey that would not be easy, but I was determined to face it head-on, to unravel the threads of the past and find peace in the process. With this newfound understanding, I resolved to continue my quest for answers, to delve deeper into the mysteries that lay beneath the surface of the sea. The ghosts of the past were not just my burden to bear. They were a part of our shared history, a reminder of the enduring impact of war on the human spirit. I would confront these ghosts, uncover their secrets, and find the truth that lay hidden beneath the waves. It was a journey I was ready to undertake, guided by the echoes of those who had come before. The air aboard the destroyer had grown thick with tension, a heaviness that settled over us like a shroud. Each day felt more oppressive than the last, the sense of unease building with each passing hour. The mysterious knocking from the sunken submarine had become a constant presence in my mind, a relentless reminder of the past I could not escape. I knew I had to confront whatever lay beneath the waves, to face the spirits that haunted me and find a way to lay them to rest. The journey to uncover the truth had consumed me, and I found myself slipping further into the depths of obsession. My mind was a storm of conflicting emotions, guilt, fear, and a desperate need for redemption. I began to hear whispers in the silence of the night, voices that called to me from the depths of my memory. They were the voices of those I had lost, shipmates who had perished because of my mistake. Their spectral presence was a constant reminder of the burden I carried, the weight of lives cut short by my actions. One night, as I lay in my bunk, the knocking grew louder, resonating through the metal walls of the ship. It was as if the spirits were calling to me, demanding that I take action. In that moment, I made a fateful decision. I would dive down to the sunken submarine and confront whatever lay there. It was a reckless plan, but I was driven by the belief that facing the ghosts of my past was the only way to find peace. The knocking had become a siren song, drawing me ever closer to the abyss. With a determination bordering on madness, I set about preparing for the dive. I reviewed the footage of the submarine, studying every detail of its haunting interior. I spoke with the divers who had explored its depths, gathering every scrap of information I could find. My obsession was palpable, a force that drove me forward even as it pushed me to the brink of sanity. The crew watched me with a mix of concern and curiosity, their whispers echoing in the corridors of the ship. As the day of the dive approached, I felt a strange calm settle over me. It was as if the weight of my decision had lifted, leaving only the certainty that I was doing what I must. I suited up, the gear familiar yet foreign in the context of my quest. The crew gathered to watch as I prepared to descend into the depths, their faces a mix of hope and fear. They understood the significance of my journey, the need to confront the past and find closure for the ghosts that haunted us all. The descent was slow and steady, the water closing in around me as I sank deeper into the ocean's embrace. The submarine loomed ahead, its dark silhouette a shadow against the murky depths. As I approached, the knocking grew louder, resonating through the water like a heartbeat. I felt a chill run through me, a sense of anticipation mingled with dread. The spirits were here, waiting for me to confront them, to face the consequences of my actions. Inside the submarine, the atmosphere was thick with the echoes of history. The corridors were silent and still, the air heavy with the weight of the past. I moved through the vessel, my flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. It was a place of memories, a reminder of the lives lost in the chaos of war. As I explored, the whispers grew louder, the voices of my fallen comrades urging me forward, guiding me toward the truth I sought. In the heart of the submarine, I found the source of the knocking. A message scrawled in the dust of the control room, a final plea from those who had perished. It was a message of forgiveness, a reminder that the past could not be changed, but that redemption was possible. The realization hit me like a wave, a cathartic release that washed away the guilt I had carried for so long. The spirits were not here to haunt me. They were here to offer me a chance at redemption, a chance to make peace with my past. With tears in my eyes, I accepted their forgiveness, a weight lifting from my shoulders as I did so. The knocking ceased, the silence that followed a balm to my soul. I had confronted the spirits of my past, faced the ghosts that had haunted me for so long, and in doing so, found the redemption I had sought. As I ascended from the depths, I felt a sense of peace I had not known in years, a sense of closure that allowed me to move forward and embrace the future with hope. The stillness of the ocean surrounded me as I surfaced, my mind awash with the revelations I had found in the depths below. The sunken submarine had been both a tomb and a testament, holding within it the echoes of lives lost and a message of forgiveness that had finally broken through the surface of my guilt. Yet, as I climbed aboard the destroyer, I couldn't shake the feeling that my journey was far from over. There was a weight still pressing on my heart, a sense that the past demanded more than acknowledgement. It demanded action. Back on deck, the crew gathered around me, eager to hear what I had discovered. Their eyes were filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation, each sailor yearning for answers to the mysteries that had haunted us for weeks. I shared with them the message I had found, the words etched in dust that spoke of forgiveness and redemption. It was a moment of shared understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the burdens we all carried and the need for closure that transcended our individual stories. As I recounted my experience, I noticed the change in the air. The knocking sound that had plagued us was gone, leaving behind a sense of calm that had eluded us for so long. It was as if the spirits had finally found peace, their voices quieted by the understanding that their message had been received. Yet, despite this newfound calm, I felt a stirring within me, a call to action that I could not ignore. The following days were marked by a strange quiet aboard the destroyer. The crew went about their duties with renewed vigor, the absence of the knocking sound a relief that lifted their spirits. Yet, beneath the surface of this calm, I sensed an undercurrent of anticipation, a feeling that we were on the cusp of something significant. My mind was consumed with the idea that the ghosts of the past were not yet done with me, that they required more than understanding. They required justice. It was during one of these quiet moments that I made my fateful decision. As the ship cut through the water, I found myself drawn to the edge of the deck, the horizon stretching out before me like a promise of redemption. I knew what I had to do. The spirits were calling me to them, demanding that I join them in their eternal rest. It was a call I could not refuse, a final act of atonement for the mistake that had cost so many lives. That night, as the stars blazed overhead, I stood at the bow of the ship, the sea whispering its secrets in the darkness. The air was crisp and clear, the sky a canvas of constellations that seemed to guide me toward my destiny. I felt a sense of calm wash over me, a certainty that this was the path I was meant to take. The ghosts of my past had guided me here, to this moment of reckoning where I would finally find peace. With a steady heart, I prepared to make my final journey. I thought of the sailors who had gone before me, the spirits who had reached out from the depths to offer forgiveness. Their presence was a comfort, a reminder that I was not alone in this endeavor. As I stood on the edge of the deck, I felt their hands guiding me forward, urging me to take the leap that would bring me to them. The decision to jump was both terrifying and liberating. As I stepped off the edge, I felt the rush of wind against my face, the freedom of release as I plummeted toward the sea. In those brief moments, I was weightless, unburdened by the guilt and regret that had haunted me for so long. The water embraced me as I hit the surface, a cold shock that jolted me into awareness before the darkness closed in. In that final act, I found the redemption I had sought. The spirits welcomed me into their fold, their whispers a song of forgiveness and understanding that eased my soul. I was finally free, my journey complete as I joined my shipmates in their eternal watch beneath the waves. The past, once a burden too heavy to bear, was now a part of me, a thread in the tapestry of history that wove us all together. In the days following my departure, life aboard the destroyer returned to a semblance of normalcy. The sea continued its endless rhythm, and the crew went about their duties, each man carrying the weight of their experiences in their own way. My absence was felt deeply, but the crew found solace in the peace that had settled over the ship. The mysterious knocking had ceased, leaving behind a quiet that allowed for reflection and healing. My final act had not only freed me, but had also lifted the burden of fear and uncertainty from my fellow sailors. Word of my fate spread quickly, becoming part of the ship's lore, a cautionary tale and a testament to the power of redemption. The crew spoke of my journey with reverence, understanding that I had found the peace I sought. My story became a reminder of the ghosts that haunt us all, the specters of guilt and regret that linger in the corners of our minds. It was a tale of forgiveness, not just from those we have wronged, but from ourselves, a lesson that resonated deeply with those who served in the unforgiving vastness of the sea. As the days turned to weeks, the crew began to share their own stories of redemption and reconciliation, each tale a thread in the tapestry of our shared history. They spoke of their struggles with guilt and the moments of grace that had allowed them to move forward. In sharing these stories, they found a sense of camaraderie and understanding, a bond that transcended the boundaries of time and space. It was a healing process, one that allowed them to confront their own ghosts and find peace in the knowledge that they were not alone. The absence of the knocking sound was both a relief and a reminder of the mysteries that lay beneath the waves. The ocean, once a source of fear and uncertainty, became a place of reflection and introspection, a mirror that reflected the inner struggles of those who sailed upon it. The crew came to see the sea as a vast, unknowable entity, one that held within it the secrets of the past and the promise of redemption. It was a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead were blurred, where the echoes of history could be heard if one listened closely enough. In the quiet moments, when the sea was calm and the sky was a tapestry of stars, the crew would gather on the deck, sharing stories and memories that bound them together. These gatherings became a ritual, a way to honor those who had come before and those who would follow. They spoke of the spirits that lingered in the shadows, not as malevolent forces, but as reminders of the sacrifices made by those who served. It was a testament to the enduring power of memory, a way to keep the past alive and ensure that the lessons of history were not forgotten. As the ship continued its journey, the crew found strength in the bonds they had forged, a sense of purpose that transcended the trials they had faced. They carried with them the knowledge that redemption was possible, that the ghosts of the past could be laid to rest through understanding and forgiveness. It was a lesson that resonated deeply with them, a reminder that the human spirit was capable of great resilience and grace. In the end, my story became a part of the ship's legacy, a chapter in the larger narrative of the sea. It was a tale of redemption and reconciliation, a reminder that the past could not be changed, but that the future was still unwritten. The crew carried this knowledge with them, a beacon of hope that guided them through the darkest of nights and the roughest of seas. The ghosts that haunted us were not banished, but they were understood, their presence a reminder of the sacrifices made and the lessons learned. The sea, once a place of fear and uncertainty, became a source of solace and reflection, a reminder of the power of redemption and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The story of Chief O'Hara, a boatswain's mate haunted by his past, became a testament to the power of forgiveness and the possibility of finding peace, both in life and in death. And so, the journey continued, the ship cutting through the waves with renewed purpose and hope. The crew, now bound by the shared experience of confronting their ghosts, looked to the future with a sense of possibility and promise. They knew that the sea held many secrets, but they also knew that they were capable of facing whatever lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that redemption was within reach for those who dared to seek it.